Well, Peter Obi and the Labour Party are certainly in the best position that any party that is not the APC or the PDP has been, right? In not just in recent Nigerian democratic history, but really in Nigerian political history, right? Nigeria's political system, where the three broad northern, western, and eastern regions, right, have sort of competed against themselves, right, for who controls the center, has meant that Nigeria has always coalesced around the two-party system, right, since independence in 1960. Peter Obi and the Labour Party they are upending that political dynamic. He is very popular in the south and in the central Nigeria states that have been disproportionately impacted by insecurity, by inflation and worsening economic conditions right across the country. That forms the agricultural heart right of Nigeria and are mostly populated by minority ethnic groups who are very critical of what they see as this current administration's failure to protect them, protect their lives, and protect their means of living. And Peter Obi has made very strong inroads. Right now, Peter Obi is doing very well in four of Nigeria's six geopolitical zones. He certainly has a path towards winning, but current polls seem to suggest that it would require a runoff, which we've never had, right, in Nigeria's history. And so it's unclear if Peter Obi would be able to win at the first time of trying. INEC itself has signaled that it is preparing and it has resources and is deploying resources to account for a possible runoff elections. And that really underscores the absolutely electric effect that Peter Obi has had right on Nigerian voters. Um, 12, 12.1 out of the 20 million Nigerians who, for example, to, to vote in this cycle are first time voters. But many of them have said it is because of Peter Obi's presence, right, within this cycle that has motivated them to recalibrate the expectations of Nigerian politicians. So he's certainly done a lot of good for driving inclusion, right, in the political process and certainly interest and appetite. What remains to be seen is whether he ends all of Nigeria's historic political voting patterns and he cobbles together a coalition that is able to take him to Aso Rock in May. But I think President Buhari is in this situation now where he appears to have completely checked out of aim of governance, right? He's a lame dog president as he is right now. He has mostly been laid back and standoffish, right? During this election cycle. There's no love lost between him and Bola Tinubu, who is the candidate of his political party, but they've had a very complicated and at times strained relationship. So he hasn't invested a lot of his own personal political capital, especially with northern voters and that northern voting bloc to galvanize them to support Bola Tinubu. A lot of his comments have largely, have largely dovetailed around maintaining and preserving the integrity of the process. He said, for example, yesterday that foreign powers should not interfere in Nigeria's domestic affairs. So he's largely kept his comments to delivering an election, delivering a good election. That really is where he's focused on. He thinks that if his ultimate parting gift to the country is to be seen to have supervised and masterminded an election that many see as free, fair, and credible, that Nigerians will be willing to recalibrate what his overall legacy has been, considering that under his time in office, security has increased, economic pain, poverty, inflation, all of those have risen, and so many Nigerians look at him quite unfavorably now. So, in a way, this particular election cycle is something of a swan song and an attempt at redemption for President Buhari, and because of that, he has largely gone out of his way to be seen as complementary of INEC, complementary of the entire voting process, and to be as non-interventionist as possible.
And finally, what's the feeling of Nigerians going into this year's elections?
Many Nigerians want to participate in this cycle. Almost 90% of Nigerians that we polled for our latest report, which came out on Tuesday, said they were going. They had collected their PVCs. More than 70% said they were going to vote. So there's a very elevated level of interest, right? In this particular election, we expect that voter turnout, which traditionally, at least over the last 4 election cycles, have been in the high 20% to low 30%, will be a lot higher in this cycle. And the elections are being all the developments around the elections are being closely followed by Nigerians, both here at home and also in the diaspora. And so the thinking is that for many is that this represents an inflection point and a really important opportunity for Nigerians to make an important statement about their political and their democratic destinies. Nigerians are also very clearly and acutely aware about what is going on within the wider West Africa region with all of the violent regime takeovers and coups that have gone on in some West and Central African countries. And so for many, they see the opportunity to take part in a democratic exercise as one that they should not take for granted and one that they should ultimately participate in vigorously.